key to successful leadership is influence, not authority. I would like to introduce to you all, well, actually, he needs no introduction in Goa, a man who is humble, always receptive to calls, always receptive to an invitation. Varun Hegde. Varun, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Alan. It's an absolute pleasure being on this podcast. And as I've said, this is a great initiative from your end. So really happy and I feel really honored to be a part of this journey.
It's a privilege to have you on board, and I'm sure the audience today who will be listening to this podcast, especially the young, will certainly be influenced. Every morning when you come into the office for a company such as Soul Traveling, probably the early morning quote is something like "Let the adventure begin." I think that's how it starts.
Absolutely. And probably from day one, I mean, that's how it started on day one, right? We didn't know what we were getting into. And it was just like, let's see where this takes us.
All right.
Certain plans, of course, but we had no way of knowing how fair, what we would, find along the way. But we're really happy that we took that leap. And even today, it's the same thing, right? We still believe we are still very young, learning at all times, students at all times in this industry or in the overall tourism industry as a whole, because we are a part of experiential tourism industry, which is a very new growing industry if you compare it to the whole tourism or hospitality industry. So that's how it goes. I mean, most of the days it's just like, let's see what this day has in store for us. And more often than not, it is the new learnings that you get every day where you think you've figured out things, but every day surprises you. And that's what probably we love the most about this job.
One fact that I find very interesting is you're working with a team of youngsters and, young blood, all out, eager, full of vigor to go out and perform and bring that flavor of soul traveling to the people. How is it working with? I mean, I'm not suggesting that you're any older, but what I'm trying to say here is working with a young team is something else, isn't it? It's an adventure.
Absolutely. And see, frankly speaking, it's been a challenge as well as something of a reward for us, because a lot of times, comparing generations, we always hear things about Gen Zs coming out now, and it's always easy to kind of just say, okay, they're so different and they just probably don't understand certain things. But what we have realized is if you really understand and try to work with the generations, they really have things that you probably can never do as a generation itself. So for us also, it's a young team. We have a team of around 30 now, people from different fields, like different backgrounds. There's people from theater, there's people from engineering, there are people from geology, psychology, all fields. And the maximum age group is between 20 to 30 years of age. So a relatively younger company. And it's just that when you given the opportunity and the right kind of platforms, right, the ideas are brilliant. See, there is give and take always. I mean, there will be some things probably as we growing up learned about certain things about work that we need to do that we try to pass on as well. And at certain times we try to receive what probably we never learned of being creative, being audacious at certain point of time, because that can really connect with a lot of audience as well. It's a nice blend of the younger generation of people coming in. There are some senior, when you say senior, it's just 30 years of age probably. And our youngest person in our team is 60 years. Adolfina, if you have met her. So she also brings her own set of,
Oh, yeah.
energy. And, if you just see the kind of spectrum that we have, we consider ourselves lucky. Projecting Goa, of creating an experiential tourism industry in Goa. So that's something that we are really happy and proud of, that, okay, this is a platform that is being developed for more and more young people. Because see, finally, as individuals, we can only do certain things. We can maybe start certain initiatives, we can help here and there. If you have the younger folks driving changes, that's how the actual difference and the impact will be made. So recently, we were lucky enough to host the Purple Fest, along with the Commission for Disability, People with Disability, and Goa Tourism. So Purple Fest is basically an event that happens for 4 days in Goa for people with different kinds of disabilities. And we
Mhm.
were we partnered with the department to host people for trails. And the team who led this was very young. Like even the person who managed the project, Heidi, she's in her early 20s. Tavania, who's a psychologist, again in her 20s. And there's Royston, there's all the younger people who are actually kind of making a difference in this whole thing. So it was really heartening to see that kind of effort being put in and then being appreciated by people who were involved as well. So it's really fun to see this kind of impacts being made by the younger people through this channel as well.
You mentioned about the youngsters coming from various sort of portfolios and joining you guys, but you set the tone. You guys actually, both you and Kedar, both coming from an engineering background to ecotourism, providing offbeat experiences. What's the story behind this?
Okay, we were much younger then, I would say, and it seems like a lifetime ago now. But again, a lot of people ask me what was the inspiration behind soul traveling, or how did that
Yes.
eureka moment come in, right? So I'd be lying if I say that there was something like that we just kind of had this brilliant idea that came out one day. It's not the case, okay? So frankly, me and Kedar both have been childhood friends. We have known each other probably since we were born, probably since kindergarten, right?
Right,
So we were in
right,
the same class since kindergarten till our engineering. And
right.
again, same school, same kind of community, people knowing each other, families knowing each other, and stuff like that. And again, after our engineering, I pursued my education with a company in Bangalore, again an IT company. And then I got a chance to work in Frankfurt, again working with a multinational bank, more of a on-site coordinator kind of a role. Kedar worked in Goa for a bit, then he pursued his MBA in Goa Institute of Management, again joined the IT industry. And we were always in touch during this time that, okay, let's do something fun, let's do something exciting, and let's do something meaningful in a way. Not that we were not enjoying. I loved my job. It was really fun to be in Bangalore, be in Frankfurt. In Frankfurt, I also got a chance to travel in different parts of Europe as well. So I used to always look, just go on the weekends out by myself, or just ask anyone who would, care to just travel around. So what we realized is there were a lot of learnings towards this point of time. That one of the main things was when we think of travel, right? We normally tend to think of it as something additional in our lives. Like you save all your money. It's done for leisure mostly. At the end of the year, maybe you plan your one trip with, plans like A, B, C, D, sightseeing points planned. But what I also realize is when travel is concerned, different parts of the world travel in different ways. So travel can be a part of your life because it can actually help you learn a lot of things. It can help you develop as a person, and that integrated with your life can actually increase your overall productivity or your overall happiness as well. You actually become a lot more humble. You see how things are happening around the world as well. So a lot of this learning become very critical as a part of your growth. So it cannot be just that you sideline that and do it at the end of the year. So this is one idea we really wanted to kind of integrate into India and Goa as well. Secondly, Goa, as you know, I mean, Ellen, you must have faced it as well. When you say you're from Goa, what's the weirdest question that you got asked, if I may ask you?
Yeah, the same thing. Are you really working in Goa?
Yeah. So,
Where are you working? Under a coconut tree?
We missed out. We should have said with the beer today for the podcast, right? Because that's the
Absolutely.
assumption that you always have your beers, your parties, and stuff like that. And also, people are really surprised that there are even colleges and schools in Goa when we have been asked that. Now, see, these notions are there with a lot of places. The stereotypes exist, but we also saw that growing up, right? We had seen a very different part of Goa, and we realized that this was something that the world did not know about. So we saw an opportunity to kind of project this with the world, but to do it in a very meaningful way. We didn't want to just do it as a historical thing or something that you should come only because it is old or something that is unexposed. So that is what we realized, that travel or tourism was also shifting and people wanted more from their travels, right? So we decided to work in the experiential tourism where people wanted to actually feel something more. So the whole focus was into creating these experiences. Again, I quit my job in 2017, came back to Goa. this was not all clear. Now, if you look back, I can see all this and put this pieces together. But that time it was just like a haze that, okay, we could do something in travel. We could start off with a walking tour. We could do something in experiences, right? We could probably build a hostel as well. I mean, there were all these ideas coming up. So again, what I realize is there's no fixed way. I mean, if you really are trying to build something, you need to put your time, efforts, energy into it. And only then you'll get the answers. You cannot just get the answers by sitting at one place and visualizing or planning at all times. You need to actually get things done, get in the midst of things, start building things, and that's how the things can actually develop further. In 2017, I quit my job. Kedar came back in somewhere in 2018. We're always in touch, of course. And we started off with maybe one tour. The second tour comes in. We start handling right from maybe one guest to up to 25 guests at one time, where we are not prepared for it. So we learn on the job. We try to kind of create things slowly, and things start happening. We start getting queries. We start getting requests for coming for trails. People from people who have actually stayed in these places for ages together want to actually experience this. That starts happening, and slowly it starts growing on. People start connecting more, and somewhere in 2020 March, we are kind of very happy that something crazy is happening. We are kind of building something which is great in the world, and you know what happens, right? March 2020, all of the world is running around, and suddenly it all comes to a standstill.
Collapsed, yes.
COVID comes in, but again, I feel that was one of the most interesting phases for soul traveling, because it helped us learn a lot. It also helped us look back, structure the company in a better way, and slowly build on from there. So a lot of this building has happened on the job. It's not like we have planned a lot. It's when we start doing things, things start happening, is what we have learned.
Agree. We realize that life is an adventure or nothing. It's either an adventure or you just sit down and just, laze away and you don't experience anything. But I think soul traveling, you bringing those experiences and have provided to the people an outlook of Goa in no other way, right? People had that perception of Goa as a beach party venue, or probably just a wedding destination, but Goa is just beyond that.
Absolutely. And there's so much, I mean, I always like to say that it's the best kept secret, and it will reveal itself to only people who care to explore. When I say that, I mean, people are really surprised that I've seen all of Goa, right? I've been to Goa 10 times, 15 times, and it's really fun to surprise that that's the challenges we love to take. Okay, you've lived in Goa your whole life, do join a trail. We'll tell you something that you probably never heard. Right, so those are the surprises that or challenges that we love taking with soul traveling as well.
Tourism is the biggest industry in the world, Varun. I think it can be defined quite clearly. And post-COVID, in fact, it has actually accelerated in terms of GDPs around the world. And Goa has always known for its tourism. But I'm sure there are challenges everywhere. As an entrepreneur running soul traveling, what has been your biggest challenge so far?
The biggest one, okay, I can maybe run through 2 or 3, which are very kind of tricky ones. Maybe one thing was the industry that we were trying to create, because nothing existed initially, right? When we started off with our trails, people were like, okay, that's all fine, but why do we pay you for like walking into our own streets?
Hi Christine, how was your experience for the Mapsa Market Trail with Soul Traveling?
Oh yes, I had a fantastic experience with Adolfina and Ritek and with Soul Travel. It was really nice. I first thought I could do it on my own, but I was very happy to be together with very good guides who explained everything very well. And I would say don't go on your own, because it's too hectic and you don't learn anything. So book something with Soul Travel.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good
nice
one.
Day. Thank you.
Right. Or why do we there were a lot of questions that, okay, this is all fine as a hobby. What do you really do as what's your work, right? So it was just to kind of create that kind of knowledge or generate that kind of things to the world. At the same time, the people we work with are they are community-based hosts, right? So making sure they understand the nitty-gritties of business, of something like punctuality or being available at all times, because there would be times, right? We have a trail and someone is like, okay, I have a birthday party to attend, I'm close today, right? So making sure that structure is put in place. So even today, we have a lot of structures with our host. Like we have even right up to TDS, which is kind of structuring the whole industry in the back end, right? It's not just the TDS, GST, all these things. We actually work with students from GIM to actually kind of educate hosts based on this as well.
Well, I'm sure something must have ignited from the efforts that you guys have put in, rather the seed that you guys have planted right from 2017-18, and it's coming. It's bearing fruits, as one might say, right?
We have a long way to go, hopefully, but we feel that it's a great start, and we really can take it to the next level in Goa as well.
So, how do you handle a multi-talented work environment around you?
Okay, right. So if I have to write an SOP, that'll be an injustice completely, because a lot of situations you cannot predict, right? I mean,
Yes.
when you have people with their own ideas, their own creativity coming, and there are 5 or 6 of them in the room, you just need to understand that, a lot of these things need to be worked as a group. So I'd like to talk about 2 things. One thing we really focus on is a lot of times there are disagreements. Okay. So we focus on not agreement, but alignment. Okay. A lot of meetings that we discuss that there is a peer disagreement between peers, or there are disagreement between seniors and juniors. See, so we understand and we say that, okay, this is natural because you have different ideas, but finally your overall alignment should be the same, right? That, okay, you've decided it as a team for a bigger goal, you might have to align yourself in that goal. Okay. You might have disagreements with a certain person based on certain particular issues, but your overall alignment need to be in a clear direction, because that really helps. So we try to promote this. I'm not saying we are successful at all times, but we try to promote these ideas rather than, just making sure everyone agrees, because people don't. And if you just agree superficially and are not really feeling that, then it makes, you are not able to implement things in a very strong way, right? So that is one thing. Second thing, we focus on our values very strongly. Again, we are saying that we are trying to do this. We are not 100% successful, but we try to promote this. So we have our values defined as, values of soul traveling. We like to call it, so it's a very fun thing that we came up with. We like to call it magic of soul traveling. Right. So these are the values that we try to promote in all our discussions, in all our meetings, all our conversations and stuff like that. And there are sessions on this for the team members. Again, we don't want to just be values on the wall, but we want to try to implement. So we also try to reward people following these values. So actually, magic of soul traveling stands for M is mutual respect, A is authenticity, G is go with the flow, adaptability. C is customer centric. I is insight driven and customer centric. C is constant feedback. O is ownership. F is fun loving. And then you have soul traveling. So we always make sure that if you implement these things in most of your working at soul traveling, it really kind of does justice to what you are standing for as a company as well.
I think certainly work for you guys, because the outlook matters, and what you see from the outside really matters. And what we, as a third party, see soul traveling as, and as a team, you guys gel really well. You're right. I mean, there are challenges, there are conflict of interest. Sometimes there are disagreements. All those things happen, but I think it's pretty natural in a team environment. But what is ultimately the result that you want is alignment, and you portrayed that beautifully, Varun. Everyone has a role model. Everyone has probably a leader whom they admire and look up to. Your role model.
Right. So again, it changes. Okay, I don't know if it's a diplomatic or a right answer to say, but role model changes quite a bit of times. I mean, I've been following my dad and mom for a certain period of time. My wife, for that matter, I really get inspired by what she's doing, how she's projecting. One person that I used to really follow, who passed away recently, is Mr. Piyush Pandey. Again, someone who's really inspired me personally a lot. I've not got a chance to meet him. I've heard him, of course. But I really enjoyed, the way he used to kind of his book, or the way he used to speak, or how he used to think as well, right? So a couple of things that I really inspired me from him was, we always try to complicate things. We want to tell the most unique idea and create things with the most unique method, or kind of, he believed in simplifying things, right? If you can communicate things very simply, it makes a big difference. So that is something that I've really stayed with me for a long time, that you don't need to overcomplicate things or over polish things. If you can just be real and authentic, it really makes a huge difference. That's why that authenticity in soul traveling is very important. That whatever we say, we mean it from our heart. It's not like, and that goes across spectrums. Okay, it might be our social media reels that are coming out. It might be the trails that you're seeing actually, or it might be a sales call that you're handling where someone is trying to help you rather than just trying to sell you something. That authenticity makes a big difference, and that's I really thank Mr. Piyush Pandey for something like that. And second thing, I really connect with what he says, or what he spoke about was, we always try to think of the next big idea sitting in a room, like, okay, the idea will just pop up, right? The best work happens on the ground, right? If you really want to create the best content, if you want to create the best business, the best ideas, you need to experience things. It cannot just pop up to you one day where you're just learning something theoretically, right? When you actually experience things, when you actually probably go in the villages, when you actually try to look for the stories, when you go meet friends, attend events, like network with people, uh, be with people who have created things, that's when things, the magic will happen. It will not happen if you just sit at one place and try to have the idea come to you, even in the best of the environment.
Varun, Goa, I want to speak about this because it's about tourism too. And we are in a very competitive space when it comes to tourism.
Sure.
Countries such as Vietnam lately has really popped up as one of the favorite destinations. Uh, this is not a subject that I would want to discuss in detail, but what do you think Goa needs to do different, and where do you see Goa going with tourism? Because that's going to affect what you guys do too, right? We want people to come to our place.
Absolutely. And it's a great question. I mean, this is something that is in everyone's mind, right? With all the social media things happening, you see a reel every day thing happening with the tourism going down and things like that. Personally, I believe the future of tourism is curated. Okay. When I say curated, it's not just the experiences, but overall, when a tourist has to visit a destination, there needs to be curation around how the tourist is or the traveler is actually able to, connect with different places, how they're able to enjoy their whole experience without being troubled too much. It can be right from renting a bike somewhere, or just transit, or the hotel, or where they're staying, how they're able to connect with the local community. So I feel that the future is curated. At the same time, I feel India has not done enough to actually attract. We are lagging way behind the other countries with respect to actually hosting tourists from across the world, right?
Agree.
And I've seen, and I think recently, Mr. Amitabh Kant, who was the Sherpa for G20 for India, made a statement that we have all the tariffs coming in, right? The best way to deal with this is tourism, right? Getting people to experience what we have in the country and making sure that they spend certain amount of money here. What I feel is happening is currently tourists are coming to India. I'm not just talking about Goa, but India as a whole, despite its issues or despite its situation, that okay, there will be some sort of issues there. There might be some sort of whatever issues are popping up. So people are worried. But India and Goa has so much to offer that people should come to this country because of it's what it has to provide. It cannot be despite all the difficulties you're traveling here. That's not a sustainable model in the long term, right? So
Correct.
I feel that India and Goa has the scope to play to kind of create that in the experiential tourism industry. Okay. Goa has always played the A game of tourism. We have always been compared to places like, Vietnam, Thailand, or Bali for that matter, because of how the tourism it looked like. So Goa always should look as itself as the leader in this space, because finally, it has the infrastructure over a period of time compared to any other destination in India. It has the facilities to kind of create that kind of you call it startup, call it new ideas. It has the infrastructure to actually kind of grow these ideas, right? So if you look at IT, you always think of Bangalore, right? Probably Mumbai would be financial, and things like that. But Goa, when it is tourism, Goa is the place where these things have to develop. And that is why I think Goa could be the leader for India and rest of the world in experiential tourism. And it can do it in a very cool way, especially because of the history that it has, the kind of exposure that it has to both cultures. I mean, you have a European superpower being of European power ruling Goa for a long time. You had the Indian influence also. So the melting pot of culture makes it a great place to kind of be the leader of this particular industry. Will it be done? I'm not sure, but there is huge potential. And if it can deal with certain issues like waste management and transport issues that we are facing in Goa, sky is the limit. And I feel that future could be what Goa is actually, building towards for India and the rest of the world.
Fantastic. And I think that's so true. That infrastructure can build revenue and can build future for any state for that matter. And that's how today's generation is. They have those ideas, they have those thoughts, but how do you mold them? Right. So your advice coming to the young aspiring youth, Varun.
Right. So that's so, I mean, giving advice is something I am always not sure if I should do that, but I'll try to share my experiences rather than advice, because what I believe is advice could be completely different from different people, and you can follow either of them or none of them and still be successful. But sharing experiences is something that really helps make a better decision. From my experience, what I have learned is whenever you need to, a lot of times there are these debates about you need to do something that you love doing, otherwise it will be difficult. I've seen it practically happening because I really enjoy doing this. I look forward to it regularly, right? And I really want to, I feel that if I can do that, I can make a bigger impact rather than if I was probably at some other place right now. Okay. So making sure that you find something, again, I'm not saying that you'll find that you something that you love 100% on day one, right? You have to feel your way. You have to kind of see everything and then slowly feel your ways. But having something that you really align yourself with, you really enjoy doing on a regular basis will really help you make a bigger difference and a bigger impact in the world. So I think that's something that everyone should try to aspire. And if they're successful, great. Or most of us, the lucky ones, try to keep looking. I mean, it's not just that, you're happy that, okay, I've got this, I'll be happy now. It's always keeping looking, trying to, that's the whole fun of journey rather than just the end destination, right? Trying for something new, trying to find something that interests you a lot and going on the journey itself. So that becomes important. Secondly, start doing things. I've met a lot of people who have great ideas, who think that they have great ideas. Almost 90% of the people I meet, they're like, okay, if I have this great idea, I would want to implement it someday. And trust me, this is a lot of people. If have you visited CST, right? The station. If you just look around, you see people moving around, right? What I realized that almost 90% of them have great ideas. The problem is the implementation, that they're not actually doing things. It's the idea is, you can have the best idea, but if it is not implemented, it's still worth nothing, right? So you need to start doing things, start making the moves, start actually working on things, and then figure out how to go forward. Because if you are expecting that, okay, I have the best idea, I'll pitch it in Shark Tank tomorrow, I'll get $1 billion investment, and I'll be rich, it doesn't happen that way. You have to start building things. You need to start doing small things. Like even for us initially, it was just like going to office every day and just brainstorming, just pitching in, just trying that first walk, having that second walk, taking that leap with hiring someone who's probably will help us build this. But this all happened because we started working on it. It was not like we just sat at home and said, okay, let's work for the idea to be the best and then we will implement it. Ideas are developed once you start implementing on it, then they become good ideas, right? It's not that you will never implement it, wait for all the theoretical part and suddenly expect it to be great. It's very difficult that way. I've not seen any business work that way for now, right? So I would just say that start doing things, just enjoy doing what you're doing or love doing that. Love building things. A lot of times the challenges would be you need to create something when nothing exists, right? So if you are really looking to build a business, you need to enjoy doing that, having that process, that there are no guidelines. A lot of times in work, we have the SOPs, we have the guidelines that, okay, this is how you do your job. Here, there is nothing. You decide it's A, B, C, and how it works, right? So that's something, if you enjoy doing regularly, you'll have a lot of fun building a business.
Small steps leading to greater success. And I think we can end on that high note, Varun. It's wonderful talking to you as always. Kedar and you have put in a great effort and an initiative to provide so much of opportunities to the young, to the aspiring, talented youth of Goa. And I only hope that your team multiplies and in multifolds and goes to every nook and corner of not just Goa, maybe outside Goa, projecting the story of Goa. And I think you guys have done that as well a couple of times. So all the best to you. I mean, it's an inspiring story. Every time we listen to it, we hear something new. And I've heard it a couple of times, and this one has been wonderful to listen to. So thank you very much for your time, Varun, and for all that you've been doing. As every morning you keep saying, let the adventure begin. Let it stay that way forever.
Thank you so much for having me, Alan. And we owe success to people like you and others who have supported us from the beginning. It's a lot of people have contributed in various ways. Okay, they might be just attending a trail, giving advice, having us for a podcast for that matter. But the best thing is everyone wanted us to succeed, and that's why we are kind of slowly moving in that direction. So we owe our success to all of the family, as we like to call it, the soul traveling family. And thank you so much. And as you said, let the adventures begin.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. God bless. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us in this journey that Varun shared with us. The soul traveling has probably connected with us into our soul as well, as we heard this podcast today. So stay connected. Share this video with people whom you think will be influenced, especially the young around you. They need to be influenced. And this podcast is no different from what that is. So thank you very much. Stay blessed. And until next time.